So it is true. Sad days ahead as HiAnime has fallen. When you try and go to their website, you are just left
Oh
with
my
this
god.
right here, this message that reads, "It is time to say goodbye and thank you for a wonderful journey with great moments." And we're going to react to Chibi Review's video talking about this. But before we do, great moments is not a lie, right? Like great memories, great moments. Because Cindy and I spend every Sunday watching anime together using this site, whether it be Kaya, Shannon, Scary, Freerin. I mean, what are some of the series we've watched together because of this site, Cindy?
Hokkaido Gals. We're watching Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun. We also saw Love After World Domination. Like, man, it did bring a lot of really good memories, and now
My Dress Up
it's
Darling
sad.
season 2.
Yes, that one too. I
I think
forgot.
that might have been the first one we watched together on this site was My Dress Up Darling season 2.
Oh, I think you're right. I think you're right. So yeah, I mean, like, pour one out for them. I will very sadly miss them.
We absolutely will. Sevi, I don't think that you're much of an anime gal, but have you watched anime? Have you ever used this site?
I've never used that site, but I've watched anime before. But not this site. So can you just fill me in? Like, what happened?
Well, it's
Why are
funny
they
you say
closing?
that. We're about to talk about what just happened here.
HiAnime, the world's largest anime pirate site, has officially went offline earlier this morning, and if you try to access the site right now, you're greeted with the message, "It's time to say goodbye, and thank you for a wonderful journey with great moments." Now, what makes this entire situation very fascinating is that 7 days ago, the United States government listed HiAnime as one of the most notorious piracy threats for the second consecutive year.
So let's talk about this. The U.S. government report a notorious piracy threat. You know, call me old-fashioned, but I don't think the U.S. government should give a fuck about where we aren't watching our anime when we've kind of had revealed to us that a global cabal of pedophiles run the world, and we ain't seen prosecutions from that. But oh, God, people not paying to watch their anime.
Yeah, and I mean, like, come on. How else are we going to hear about anime that we've never seen before? I never heard of Kaya-chan Isn't Scary until you mentioned it. It's just, this is fucking ridiculous. They really do need to get the fuck out of our entertainment.
And the piracy aspect, like, look, is there anybody in the U.S. government that actually gives a fuck about piracy? No, obviously not. So, Sevi, you're a lawyer. I know this probably isn't your area of study, but like, what's your take on this? Just the idea that this is the noted as one of the most notorious piracy threats.
I am just so confused about what actually happened.
So do you know
because
how
this
this
is
site
out of-
operated, out of curiosity?
No, I don't.
Basically, it was an illegal streaming service. You would go to this website and you could watch pretty much any anime ever in the history of anime, completely free, whether it's old, whether it's new, whether it's currently airing. The quality was fantastic. The subtitles were always on point. It was basically, it had the level of quality as something like Netflix or Crunchyroll or a completely paid for service. So a lot of anime fans go here because they don't want to pay, whether it be because they're broke and can't pay for Netflix or Crunchyroll, or maybe they just don't want to support those garbage ass companies.
True, especially since Crunchyroll just got into a lot of shit just recently. So, I mean, like, our options are scarily limited as it is.
So with that knowledge, feel free to continue your thoughts, Sevi.
Yeah, it just, like, it seems like there must be something else going on. I don't know if it is tied to some type of trade agreement or a contract or something about, like, why would they actually go out of the way and take action to pull down a website? Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
fully acknowledge the
definitely
reality that piracy is illegal. This website being up is illegal.
Yeah.
Like, we understand that, but let's be real.
Yeah.
Was this hurting anybody?
That's my point. I mean, generally the US government focuses more on, like, high value targets for things that they're pushing. So I'm just like, in order for this website to have felt the pressure to shut down, that tells me that, I mean, obviously there's money involved, but it has to be something else. other than they shut them down because it's a piracy site. Because there's a lot of piracy sites out there.
And there's, I just checked while you were talking a different piracy site to see if it's still up, and it is. Now, it's one that's not as good, but it's still pretty fair. I mean, some people were saying earlier, oh, geez, remember Kiss Anime? I do remember Kiss Anime. And then the question then becomes, because, like, look, Crunchyroll, Netflix, Amazon, all these companies are dog shit evil corporations that disrespect and denigrate the Japanese language, the Japanese culture. They ruin these anime. So if I'm going to be watching anime here in the West, I don't want to pay these garbage companies that don't respect the medium to watch it. I would gladly pay for a program that was good, but none exist.
Well, not just that, but like once they feel like, okay, people are hooked in because they really like anime, we're going to just jack up the prices and drop the quality. Like it happens every fucking time. It gets really obnoxious.
Well, Melphis Sky is asking, was Crunchyroll behind this? And so let me pose this question to you, Sevi. Maybe you'll have an idea. Obviously, we'll just be speculating. But do you think that maybe these large paid subscriber streamers like Crunchyroll and whatnot that have been seeing mass losses in their subscribers probably could like lobby the U.S. government or something like that to get this taken care of? Or do you think this is maybe more in line with the U.S. government working with Japan themselves to take care of something like this?
Well, I mean, it's definitely hard to tell. I'm sure it's part of some type of trade agreement, that says like in order for the trade agreement to be viable, these are the steps that you need to take, in order to get something favorable, some favorable terms. Maybe the companies are complaining to the government, but the companies complain all the time to the government. It doesn't mean that the government is going to take action, right? Which again, like, makes me wonder, like, maybe it's in conjunction with Japan and the trade agreement they have with Japan, that led to them saying, okay, we're going to start going after piracy sites for anime and manga. Maybe that's what's going on, as part of that.
They've been going after them just as equally as much. I think we lost, I think it was called Batoto, which was like a huge manga site. We might be losing Manga Dex. We might be losing a couple of other sites.
We've lost legal manga sites. Japan has lost completely legal manga sites because it was manga housed, things that have incest and stuff like that. And the payment processors are like, yeah, we're not going to allow our payment processing systems to even be on your website. And therefore people couldn't pay for the legal manga and they had to shut down. So manga is actually getting it even worse than anime.
Yeah. Honestly, like I said earlier, I just want them the fuck out of my entertainment. I like the payment processors. I don't think had anything to do with the fan sites. Like
no, not at all. I was just using that as an
No.
example of how manga in general is in danger. But yes, you're correct. Payment processors had nothing to do with this.
So it's just, I don't know. It's very frustrating.
Well, let's keep going.
So for those that need some context here, last year in 2025, there was a listing of multiple different sites, what had high traffic, what was the most high trafficked, piracy sites, and HiAnime was basically at the top of the list. And so this is the second year in a row that HiAnime has basically been called out by the United States government that it is a very high visited site on the internet, and that it is a very notorious and well-known piracy threat for anime. And so when you have something like this come out 2 years in a row, and this happened 7 days ago, there's an article on it and a Reddit post on it, and then suddenly earlier this morning we're greeted with the message, it's time to say goodbye and thank you for a wonderful journey with great moments, you start to wonder if the situation with the United States government listing it as a threat is correlated to some degree. Now, it could be a coincidence. It's possible. There is a percentage chance of that. However, I feel like
I don't think there is whatsoever. I'm gonna be real. I don't think that there is. You could say like, oh, anything is possible. What are the odds they shut down after there's been massive crackdowns on piracy by the U.S. government?
If that is their biggest worry right now, as you said, they just had the Epstein list a couple months ago. Why don't you focus on something that actually matters? Like people who have actually hurt kids, get them off the streets, out of our fucking like political spaces, like get them the fuck out. Why aren't you worrying about things that actually matter?
You know,
Seven-
my thought would be that, so generally when the government is investigating you, you're the last person to know, right? So it is possible that this is just part of a settlement. You know, if they, they agreed to that, if they pull it down, that they agree that they're not going to go after um financial, like, back pay for the losses of other companies in America or something like that. You know, it's possible
So
that it was
what you're saying is that they probably kind of deal with the government saying, all right, we'll shut down as long as, and you won't charge us or anything. We'll just basically sweep it
yeah.
under the rug.
Mhm. Yeah,
That's
because they,
theory.
again, like, generally when something like so drastic like this happens, it usually comes out of some type of settlement.
Gotcha.
Mm.
Let's keep going.
The government of the United States listing it as a threat definitely makes a lot more people that were unaware of the site becoming aware of the site, and then in turn trying to take the site down, which gets into the elephant in the room. So obviously, even if it's not correlated what the United States government listed for HiAnime, at the end of the day, anime piracy.
So Zach's asking a great question. Would the country of Japan, bring that back up, please, actually care about piracy in the U.S.? I assume the Japanese companies have distribution deals with American companies. So the answer to this is, I only have a potential answer. I would think hypothetically yes, because they have a massive problem with it when it comes to China. The Chinese and Japanese governments obviously hate each other. This is very well documented. And even then, about 3 or so weeks ago, the Chinese and Japanese governments worked together to bring down massive piracy sites happening in China when it comes to anime. So if you can get hated enemies like China and Japan to work together to do stuff like that, China and the U.S., Japan and the U.S. get along fucking great. So I would imagine they do care about piracy in the same regard. But here's where it gets weird. Anime is a loss leader. Anime doesn't really make money. Like yeah, Crunchyroll and them make money as services, but anime itself doesn't make money. Anime is basically a commercial for merch, for manga, for body pillows, for statues, for all these collectible shit. So like I can't imagine that like the type of person like me or like Cinny that use these sorts of sites to watch our anime, they're not losing anything from us because we still go out and we buy the statues. We still go out and we buy the merch surrounding the t-shirts, the video games, whatever, surrounding these anime. So it's not like you've lost anything by allowing these piracy sites to exist.
Yeah, because I mean, like, I'm trying to like save up to get the books for 86. I just finished watching that. It's really spectacular. Like it compels me to want to go support Japan by getting their stuff. And I didn't even watch it on like I watched it on like a website. I didn't watch it on like Crunchyroll. I didn't watch it on Netflix, or I don't know where it would actually be, but like I don't know. I think this is just overkill. Like they really see all like we're enjoying things on the internet and they just have to really take it down. Like we're not supposed to be having fun.
Seti,
Yeah,
your take?
I just don't think that it's so much. It could be a couple of things. It could be either hey, we're gonna team up with you against China. It could be that take. Or it could be a political move in Japan to say, hey, we're protecting our own creators. Look at us, take a stand with the US against piracy. So it could be that. It's kind of hard to know. And no matter what, I mean, I think that yeah, it could be more like Napster, but no matter what, I think that it's just the situation is just really really fishy. The fact that everything went, that it was advertised before it was shut down, that tells me it's like a pony show. Like it tells me I'm watching a pony show and this is being orchestrated on purpose, because you get way more exposure. Nobody cares what the US is saying. Oh, look, this is a big piracy site. Okay, whatever. Nobody cares about it, but they care if you announce it and then it gets shut down.
It's funny you mentioned this for exposure and it's a dog and pony show. because this doesn't actually solve anything. Like, anytime
No,
this
it
happens,
doesn't.
like, I've seen many an illegal anime site shut down in my day, and guess what? Another one always pops up. Sometimes the same one pops up just under a new URL, under the same ownership and everything. The government is playing whack-a-mole with these piracy sites, like,
Yeah.
so sure, HiAnime is gone. But now people are just going to look for other sites to go watch their anime on illegally. New sites are going to pop up and take its place. And we see this happen with the dark web. There's a lot of sites on the dark web that the government has gotten taken down. And that's where actual crazy illegal shit happens. Drug trafficking, child trafficking, things of that effect. And guess what? Anytime they take down one of these big illegal sites on the dark web, a bunch of newbies spring up to take their place because there's a power vacuum. So what did they actually even accomplish by bringing down HiAnime, aside from now there's going to be a bunch of copycats and they're going to be of lower quality, most likely?
Yeah, I mean, this just tells me, like, it's like you said, it's just a pony show. Like, it just feels like this is a show is being orchestrated to make a point rather than to actually make a difference. Like, if they really wanted to make a difference, what they should have done is they should have looked at the playbook of how they fought the drug wars in Colombia, right? Because they had something similar like that where things were popping out. It was so decentralized, it was really hard to figure it out. And they established a playbook about how to tackle a situation when, if you cut one head, 10 more show up. Right? And if they really wanted to tackle this situation, they would adopt that playbook. But that's not what they're doing. They're just creating a big show, making a point, being like, look at us. We are really anti-piracy or very anti-China. It seems like it's just weird. It doesn't seem complete to me. It just seems
By the way,
fabricated.
This was a complete happy accident. But I'm wearing my Straw Hat Pirates shirt on the stream. So, like, that's pretty nice. Being accidentally pro-piracy. So that's fucking dope. Shout out to all my other Straw Hats out there.
Sites go down often. Like, for instance, you'll have them operating maybe for a few years, and then suddenly they nosedive, they die. Let's look at the recent situation of, for instance, Bato, a manga piracy site that went down, and even the creator themselves is criminally investigated in China. And by the way, there's been an update. Apparently, the person has been criminally charged, and I believe is about to go into prison. So the
Tiger King Rex Carter says it's a Sony and Disney funded takedown. Now, I don't know about Disney. You might be onto something, but Sony is the big one here because Sony is the one that owns Crunchyroll. Now, Sony is a Japanese company, but really they're a Japanese company in name only. Let's be real. Most of what Sony is known for and the one that actually pulls the strings at this point is the American branch. But with Sony being the ones that own Crunchyroll, do you think that a company like Sony, Sevi, has enough power and money to lobby the U.S. government into making something like this happen?
Sony can. Yes, I think that Sony can. Because Sony definitely has a big part of the market, particularly with the Trump administration. Sony would have more of a pull. I would say if you're talking about a different type of administration, they would not be as keen to listen to Sony. So it's just depending on what their platform is. So I think for the Trump administration, Sony or Disney would have the ear of the administration.
Bato operator, like the creator of Bato, is literally about to be in prison, at least from my understanding of what I saw an update about a few weeks back. But back into the main topic, we have seen time and time again that piracy sites, they go down and, a new one will arise from the ashes. It's like a hydra, so to speak. You cut off one head, three more pop up in its place. And that's more or less what's going to happen here. Is that HiAnime is a mainstream, high-profile anime piracy site, and because it got so popular, so well used, it flew too close to the sun. And if you fly too close to the sun, you're too easy to access. That site will be hammered down into the dirt and deleted, so to speak. And that's probably what's happening here. Now, there is some conflicting information coming out about HiAnime, which I do want to get into right now, because a lot of you that are watching this video and aware of the situation might already be going into the comments and telling me I'm wrong about the situation and HiAnime is going to be coming back. So there is a Reddit post on the subreddit for HiAnime Zone that has the moderator of the Reddit making this type of statement about the situation. And this is what they have to say. Greetings, everyone. There appears to be an issue with the website at this time. Kindly refrain from panicking or disseminating unofficial or unverified information.
Now, let's stop this real quick, because I would like to reference an event that actually happened. So, remember how I brought up that dark web stuff earlier?
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a reason for that. So, there was this huge, I don't remember the name of it, but there's this massive illegal trades site on the dark web back in the day. And then the U.S. government got it, took it down. That caused a power vacuum. A bunch of others sprung up. One of the ones that sprung up was called Incognito. And Incognito very quickly gained a reputation as being one of the best of illegal dark dealing sites on the dark web. You can get drugs, you can get fucked up. I think it was mostly drugs. I'm pretty sure you could also get like messed up porno, stuff like that. But mostly it was a drug dealing site. And the U.S. government was tipped off to its existence, and they were investigating this dude real quick. So, Sevi, I think it was you earlier that said, if the U.S. government's investigating you, you're the last to know. Right?
Yep.
This dude was the exact same. So, the government took his site down on the dark web, and first thing he did, like a fucking idiot, like he runs an illegal site. Why would you do this? Was start posting publicly off the dark web. Hey, there's an issue with the site. I'm trying to get it fixed. It'll be coming back. Don't worry. This, that, and the other. Basically broadcasting to the government empirical proof he's the one that runs this shit. So I actually worry about a post like this from HiAnime on their subreddit being like, hey, there's an issue. There's a mistake. Well, you don't know there's an issue or mistake. If the government took this shit down, and now you're on Reddit with a probably traceable IP address saying we ran this illegal shit. Silk Road was the OG one before Incognito. Yes, thinking about this guy. Silk Road got taken down, and Incognito was one of many to rise to his place. Thank you, Silk Road. Anyway, so this dude's out here, moderator on Reddit, posting about how it's just an issue. It'll be coming back. Dude, you are because again, piracy is illegal. This is an illegal site. Dude is broadcasting that, we're the ones that ran this shit.
Yeah, people are interesting. I would say sometimes people like this make sure I stay employed. So thank you.
Well, yeah, because aren't you criminal defense? Isn't that what you do?
No, I represent companies. I do labor and employment. So I see a lot of stupid people making a lot of stupid mistakes like this. I mean, not exactly this, but similar to
yeah,
this.
Right.
Yeah.
Cindy, you got anything to add before I hit play?
No, go ahead.
Perfect.
We are monitoring the situation and attempting to obtain further clarification as of the moment. We will provide updates regarding the situation in due course. We appreciate your patience and cooperation during this time. Now, this is once again an official moderator of the subreddit that is affiliated with HiAnime, and they're basically saying that the site will be coming back to some degree. There appears to be an issue with the website at this time. Kindly refrain from panicking and stuff. It kind of seems more or less like the site isn't officially gone. It will come back. However, I really much doubt that, and the reason why is because the official message on the site right now, if you were to search it up, it literally says, it's time to say goodbye. And there is nothing more like final than basically that. Now, there is speculations that apparently the team that is a part of this piracy site might be changing domains or something like that. Who really knows? They could have been hacked. But the point here is that HiAnime...
I don't think it's a hack. If it was a hack, we would have already seen someone taking credit for it.
Yeah, and if it was a hack, they would have said something more interesting than this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're probably correct about that as well. Like, if it was a hack, you're right. The message would be totally different. But yeah, anytime a massive hack happens, almost any time a massive hack happens, whether it's the people who actually did the hack or not, there are people that jump up and take credit, being like, "Oh, look what we did. We're big and bad."
Well, I don't know if that's always the case, right? But I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I've heard of a few sites that have gotten hacked and nobody took credit for it. So I don't think
that's why I said usually people do. There are times where it doesn't happen, but more often than not, because
I think like
did the hack,
when Twitter got hacked, and they took control over all those accounts, I think that they didn't find out who it was until much later because he didn't take credit. He just kept doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and also, Ghost of Valhalla says, "Will Kiss Anime be next?" That's also a piracy site. Kiss Anime has been taken down multiple times. Here's the difference. I don't know where HiAnime is based out of, but certain countries get away with this more than others because they're much more lax on their IP theft laws. And so, sure, the government will come in, take them down, and then they'll just change domains and be right back up. And there's not a whole lot that can be done because they're in countries that don't, that have much looser laws around this. And it's also much more difficult for like the FBI.
Well, there's not a reciprocity agreement with the US.
Right.
So you can't force
And I want to implore you guys, and Sevi, you can confirm this. It would be the FBI that took these guys down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's how quote unquote serious it is. It would be the FBI that took down HiAnime.
Yeah, but I would also add that nowadays with the Trump administration, this is something that we have not seen before, is that the agencies communicate much better with themselves. So all of the agencies are talking to each other. And what we have seen is that they're actually working in tandem. When they do an investigation, it's not just the FBI. It's DHS, it's the IRS, it's everybody working together, and they talk together to take down people. And this is something that I have seen, that they have done against companies, against people, right? So it's like just generally what I have personally observed is that they have extreme well coordination. So I would say it wouldn't just be the FBI, because before they all existed in an island, and now they're all working together really, really well.
Frightening what they're willing to get work together over when it's not really the right thing to be working together over.
That is true. There is way more important things that they should be focused on, in my opinion. Like Epstein files, like what's going on, there's way more important things to focus on than this.
So is this, do you think, a distraction, or would this have happened regardless?
I mean, in my opinion, I think this happened either because it was part of a trade agreement that was negotiated, or because a really big, powerful company was pressuring the Trump administration to do something.
I kind of wonder if this has to do with I don't know if y'all remember, but when AI started becoming prominent, Japan was using it to start shutting down other sites, and I'm starting to wonder if maybe this is part of it. Japan might have stepped up and said, "Hey, take down this site now, please."
It could
be. That's what I'm thinking it is.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, that's why I'm saying it's part of their agreement. Yeah.
Oh, let's keep going.
It will die eventually. Even if this is not necessarily the end and the site will come back to some degree, maybe in the next day or two, it will eventually just nosedive and die. And this is why, when it comes to piracy sites, this is why if they become too well known, they will die. Thankfully, there's quite a few piracy sites that I'm well aware of that have been operating for well over a decade plus. And they've been coasting very clear because obviously it's not very easy to access these sites and understand how to use them. But they pretty much have even more than whatever HiAnime could ever offer. But back into the main topic. The point here is that HiAnime will eventually die. It's only a matter of time. And I feel like if anyone thinks that it's going to be around forever is lying to themselves. However, what I do wonder about the situation is that if the operator, or in this case, the creator of HiAnime, is potentially in legal trouble. I mean, let's look at the situation with Bato, and that the literal operator is criminally investigated within China. I wonder if the creator of HiAnime is having something very similar happen, because it's very obvious, at least in the last year and a half, there's been more pressure put on reining in anime and manga piracy. It's definitely been a lot more extreme as of late, and Japan takes this stuff very seriously, extremely serious. I feel like one of the worst crimes you commit, honestly, for at least from what I've seen, is basically pirating anime or manga in Japan, because that's anytime it comes to anything like that, they will throw the book at you and throw you under the jail. So I feel like in this case, they have definitely gotten a lot more extreme in the last few years, especially with how popular and well-known anime has become. And I feel like that's why they've gotten even more strict with it. And so I do wonder if whatever's going on here has something to do with the leader of the site potentially being the book thrown at them, so to speak. But I will leave it at that. At the current...
And yep, that's pretty much the end of that. I will drop this video in the comments for you guys to like, sub, the whole nine. So with his final thoughts, do either of you guys have anything to say in terms of wrap up?
Well,
No.
I don't think there will be any politician that would willingly say, "Hey, I'm the one responsible," because all that's going to do is make a lot of people angry at that particular politician. So I don't think we'll ever get any real answers when it comes to this. It's just we got to pray that there's another site that will pop up that will be just as good later.
And
Otherwise,
you and I were already talking in the Discord before the stream started. You and I already have alternatives. We're like, this ain't ruining Sunday night anime night for us. Like,
yes, we still have plans. So I mean, honestly, the government can suck it. They have bigger things to worry about. They should really
can you
fuck
say
off.
that again, but slower?
You guys can suck it.
No, not you guys.
Oh, you just want you can suck it.
No, I want you to specifically tell the government to say, you want me to come, you need to say the government can suck it.
Oh, you should specify. The government can suck it.
There we go. Clippers, you know what the fuck to do.
Oh, goodness.
Debbie, you got anything to finish out with?
No. I mean, I've kind of already said my piece.
Bingo, bango, bongo. Well, then I will just end with this. Guys, piracy site's going to keep popping up. Is this something to worry about? Yes and no. Yes, in that if this is indicative of a further push from the government to continue, you might see even more of these sites fail, the whole nine. But like Sevi said earlier, I mean, it's just cutting off the head of a hydra and 3 more grow. So this is something that this will always be a problem for them, and it will always be a boon for us. And no matter what happens, your boy ain't ever paying for Crunchyroll. Fuck that.